They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Okay, well, Garrett and I are going to go through. We're going to get some fantasy basketball rankings underway. Like I said, I mean, any video that I'm on here talking fantasy basketball to y'all, just know that I am the idiot in the room. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I enjoy playing fantasy basketball, but sadly, I'm not nearly smart enough to go through and carry this ship on my own. So gladly, Garrett has decided to help us out tremendously. He knows exactly what he's talking about here. He can guide us through everything. So if I say something stupid, I just want to let y'all know you should have expected it. Now, if Garrett says something stupid, of course, you can feel free to let him know in the comment section. How you doing, Garrett?
Good. Yeah, give it to me if I mess up, please. Don't hold back. I can take it. Yeah. So right now we're gonna go through the point guards. Sorry, the first 5 point guards for the top of the list, and these are all just projections. These aren't really how they finished last year, and I'm gonna mix it with a lot of different factors such as like what positions they can play, and things like that can get a little confusing because guards can be forwards and whatever. But I'm gonna base it based on like what they actually play in real life more so here. So number one for me for guards is actually gonna be Steph. This one might get a little heat because a lot of people have Harden over Steph or Luka over Steph, but I really like Steph this year. I think that Clay coming back, I think that he's not supposed to come back till December already. That could get pushed back depending on how things go. And I think he's going to be on a minutes limits once he gets back. So Steph is going to do the same thing he did last year, which is just put the team on his back to try to get into the playoffs. I think Steph is probably one of the best players of all time. At this point, he's accomplished. He's such a good player. I think that as long as he doesn't miss any games, I think he's going to be shooting around 50% from the field goal. He always is great when it comes to shooting free throws, and obviously he's a 3-point machine. And he's going to get the assists. So I really think that Steph is going to top the list for me this year when it comes to picking which guard I want.
So is this going to be more so for category formats? It's going to be for points formats? Because I think I could agree with you. If we were like,
I think we're going to go points.
Okay.
Yeah, I think points is the way to go. That's the most common league played. I think in one of your previous videos, I talked about categories being the most common, but that's pretty much just my personal experience. I play categories a lot, but I think most people play points. So let's try to stick to points for these. That's how my projections are anyways.
Okay. Because in that instance, I think it's just hard to have Steph over Luka, at least from projections that I'm looking at, just because
it is.
Are you going to have Luka at 2? Please tell me Luka's at 2.
Luka's 2 for me. Luka's 2 for me. He is. Luka is 2 for me. And you know what, though? A lot of people are going to say Harden could be number 1. The guards are really going to be a toss-up. I mean, right now we have a lot of real-life factors going on, such as Kyrie not getting vaccinated, so maybe he's not even going to play this year. If that happens, I mean, Harden is easily number 1. But with these projections, you can't really just go and say, oh, Kyrie's not playing this year. Because, I mean, he could go get vaccinated tomorrow and then everything's fine, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to base on the assumption that all these guys are playing. So for me, Curry's 1. I want Curry this year. I know a lot of people want Luka and Harden, but I'm sticking with my gut. Curry's my guy.
Okay, so then let's roll in Luka for 2. So, like, what are you expecting from Dallas this year? And, like, with Luka, obviously, he was a lot of people's favorite for MVP coming into 2020. I mean, he didn't necessarily take he was still fantastic, of course. Still fantastic. But it wasn't that number 1 overall player that everybody just automatically assumed he was going to be. I think at the same time, I mean, how old is Luka at this point? I know that he is younger than I am.
I want to say 23. I could be wrong on that. He might be 22.
He is currently 22 years old. So 22 years old. He doesn't turn 23 until February. So maybe people were just a year early. I mean, Giannis 26. And remember, everybody was talking about Giannis for a very long time. Then some people kind of got burnt out of just the conversation around Giannis saying that he couldn't actually do it. And then I think maybe people were just a year early on Luka. Like, if I'm looking at it with how the fact that with his size and everything, that he can also just grab a bunch of rebounds, I think that I would possibly have Luka at 1 myself. Like, what are you expecting from Dallas?
Well, I will start off by saying Luka's a really great player to get number 1. Just because when you're looking at it, he's point guard eligible, he's forward eligible. I mean, you don't really get that with Steph. With Steph, you're kind of stuck putting him in the guard role. So I do like that about Luka. And that actually is one reason why I, depending on the draft and who I'm playing with, I may take him over Steph. But, I think that I don't even know if you can say we're a year early, because I mean, he killed it last year. I know he wasn't the top, but like, he was so good. And I think that this year he's going to be better. Again, in categories league, his free throws aren't that great, but sticking to points, I mean, he's probably going to average around 27 to 30 points per game. He's going to get the rebounds because he's tall and he's on the court all the time, and he's going to get the assists. He's probably going to average around 8 or 9 assists per game. So he's definitely, I mean, it's so hard to say who's 1, 2, and 3 because Steph, Harden, and Luka are all easily could hit that top spot. But I do like Luka a lot. I will say that, but he's number 2 for me.
All right. Well, let's just roll into Harden here. Like you already said, I mean, if Kyrie misses, Harden's 1, and I don't think you can really argue with that at all. The thing is also just like Brooklyn was so high tempo and like literally on pace. They had stretches where they were by far and away the best offense in NBA history last year. So I just think that with the also thought that maybe you get some missed time from Kyrie or Kevin Durant, just based on like them trying to keep them fresh for actually that playoff stretch in 2021. Obviously, James Harden does have that case where he can be the number 1 player overall.
Yeah, and I mean, he kind of took a point guard role last year, which was really cool. I really like that he did that, and I think that he's going to continue to do that. So I mean, if Kyrie's out, this is a dude who's going to be getting you 8 to 15 assists per game on top of his whatever 25 points per game. So that's going to be huge. If you play in a league where the assists are worth 2, that I think that Harden's going to average more assists than Luka and more than Steph, most likely. So I think that that's another huge thing to factor in. On top of his points, he did take that point guard role. So I do think that, again, if Kyrie misses time or KD misses time, Harden's the guy to own. He's the number 1. But until we know that for sure, I'm going to have him locked in at number 3 for me.
Yeah, and right now I'm actually looking at #basketball.com. They have Harden projected for the most assists this season.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And assists are really hard to come by for category format. So I'd imagine that you actually bump them up for category, knowing that you're not going to get tanked at either free throw or field goal. And if you get the assist to go along with it, I imagine he's going to crush Steph with his assist this year. So I would imagine that Harden's actually the best guy for a category format. And I think you can make an argument for either Luka or Steph in a points format.
Yeah, in category, I think it is Harden. But the thing is, I think Steph is going to outscore Harden. So it just depends on your league formatting. I know some leagues have assists for 1, some have it for 2. If your assist, every assist you get, it counts for 2 points. I think Harden's your guy. He's going to get the most out of the 3.
Awesome. Well, you want to roll into your 4th player here?
Yeah, and this is kind of where everyone has their consensus top 3, and then after that, it's just kind of who you're feeling. For me, I like Dame. I do like Dame this year. A lot of people are kind of not so high on him. I think that, he's the kind of guy who, and I shouldn't say not so high on him, but don't have him as the consensus top 3. I think he's the kind of guy, the Blazers didn't really do too much to build their team. And I think that it's going to be the Dame show again. I know I just saw an ESPN report saying Dame likes the direction that the Blazers are going and believes in them. And, hopefully he's right. But for now, he's kind of the guy. CJ's great and CJ's going to get playing time. And a lot of the time they play the hot hand. If CJ's popping off, Dame kind of takes a backseat. But I still think that Dame is going to be awesome this year. I think he's going to average almost as many points as Steph. He's going to have those assists. I think he's going to have the same, if not more assists than Steph as well. The only thing that worries me is he can be hot and cold. Steph's a little bit more consistent. Steph is on the floor more, it seems. And other than that, I like Dame a lot this year. And I actually kind of am, I actually live in Portland myself, and I do like the Blazers. I'm kind of hoping they trade CJ just for something more useful, because I see Dame and CJ as such a similar player that it almost takes away from Dame's talents. So if that happens, I think Dame could be shot up into the top 3 potentially. But for now, I'm going to safely lock him in at 4.
What happens if they go get Simmons?
I mean, Dame's going to be taking a lot more shots, considering Simmons probably won't even want to take the shots. I actually, it's funny enough, me and Johnny, also part of Fantasy News and Brews, we always talk about that. And I've been telling him for a year or 2 now, like they should go get Ben for CJ. It makes sense for both teams. It makes sense for the 76ers, but Blazers fans out here are not a fan of that idea. So
really? I'd imagine that'd be a natural fit. I've obviously heard that on a million podcasts before already, though.
Last point, Ben in the playoffs didn't help himself too much.
No, definitely. Okay, fifth.
So let's round it out.
Point guard right here.
Yeah, last guy, last guard, and I'm gonna throw him in the guard category. I don't know if he's point guard eligible. I don't believe he is, but since the next one we're going to be doing is all forwards, I got to throw Beal in. I really like Beal this year. I talked about that previously or on our last video we did. I think that he's going to be I think he probably will be the scoring leader this year, if not number two. I think it's probably between him and Steph, if I'm being honest. I think that he's going to get some assists still. He'll probably get, 4 to 7 assists on the year. I think that he'll carry the load for the Wizards. He hasn't requested a trade. The only issue is he's also on vaccination watch, and we'll see how that all goes. That's kind of unraveling right now. So until we have more information, we don't really know. But I'm just going to not factor that in at all in this video, and that may change. But for now, Beal is safely locked into my top 5.
Yeah, what's weird is like looking at projections here. You look at names like Kyrie and Bradley Beal. They have them for like less games played than really any other player. So definitely like projection sites are accounting for that. I just like whenever people are asking me stuff like that for NFL too coming into the year, I just have to say I'm an idiot. I have no idea what's going on. I mean, you do whatever you want to do when it comes to that. I think that it's a lot better to just go through and talk about these players and what you could reasonably expect if they do play and operate under that assumption, and then allow other people to make their own judgments on how many games they think they'll be missing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to do things like that because, right, Joel Embiid just naturally misses a ton of games each year. But are you really not going to take that talent over, someone like Vucevic because you think Vucevic is going to play more games? Like, no, you're going to go Embiid, and you're just going to kind of suffer through and not project that. And if you want to, that maybe you guys are smarter than me. But for me, I'm going to go with the talent and the production. And then, we'll kind of play it in the season as the injuries come. So for all the news and vaccination things unraveling, I'm not going to factor that in today.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we got for this video. You got any plugs or anything other than drop that like, leave a comment, subscribe?
Just the usual. Go check out Fantasy News and Bruce Twitter. Me and Johnny are really active on there, and we're always trying to help you guys out. Football, basketball. Just shoot us a DM or just add us, and we'll do what we can to help you out.